Esiet sveicināti raidījuma ciklā Uzzini, pirms dodies, Droša darba ceļvedis Eiropā. Mani sauc Andris Segliņš, esmu Nodarbinātības valsts aģentūras Eiropas darba konsultants un šī raidījuma cikla vadītājs. Raidījumos mēs apskatām informāciju un jautājumus, kurus ir būtiski noskaidrot pirms došanās uz ārvalstīm, tādas kā darba tirgus situācija un darba meklēšana Eiropas valstīs, tāpat arī darba līguma slēgšana, darba nosacījumi un cits praktisks jautājums. Katru raidījumu mēs veltam vienai valstī, un šodien mēs runāsim par Austriju. Un uz raidījumu esmu aicinājis Austrijas Nodarbinātības dienesta Eiropas darba konsultantu Martinu Leitneru. Hello, Martin.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Welcome and thank you for joining us today. And let's start our conversation about overview of labor market in Austria. And how would you describe the current labor market situation and which industries are experiencing highest demand for workers?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this very nice format. Concerning your question, at the moment, we are a little bit struggling with the labor market. As you might know, the automotive industry, especially in Germany, is a little bit weakening at the moment, and our economy basically is very much linked with the German economy. So therefore, we feel it. We feel the impact that there is something not really working out at the moment. Our labor market is really also the industry, the automotive industry and the steel industry and the manufacturing industry is really big in Austria. So we feel it a little bit that the economy is not improving at the moment. But of course we do have shortages. We have shortages basically in every industry, but only with skilled workers. We do not have a shortage in unskilled workers at the moment. So basically all the vacancies for unskilled workers are filled at the moment. So yeah, that's an issue because we got our unemployment rate is getting up a little bit. So it's increasing, and most of the people who are unemployed at the moment are people with no education or just a very weak education. That's what we can see at the moment there.
Then we can summarize that if some candidate has a good qualification, especially in metal industry and other industries, then could be good possibilities also in Austrian labor market.
Definitely. So if you have good qualifications in this industry, it always would make sense to, if you want to come to Austria, then an application would make sense. But I have to add that speaking German sometimes is really important in Austria. If you do not speak German, it's still possible to work in Austria, of course, but it's much more difficult to find a place to work. Another thing that I forgot to mention actually is the tourism industry, especially in the winter season. But it's not only the winter season anymore; it's also the summer season that is basically increasing. We are always looking for chefs, and the good thing about chefs is you don't have to speak German. Then we also looking for waiters. We are looking for chambermaids. We are looking for basically in the tourism industry for receptionists. But again, as a receptionist or a waiter, you have to speak German at least a little bit. Especially as a receptionist, you need to be really good in German because most of our customers are from German-speaking countries in the tourism industry.
Yes, you mentioned it also as this seasonal jobs, and everyone knows that Austrian ski resorts, and regarding seasonal jobs, it's mostly in this ski resorts, or it's also another kind of seasonal jobs?
Of course, it's most of those jobs are in those skiing resorts. Okay, you have to admit. I mean, also they are used to employ people from outside of Austria. Therefore, they have staff accommodation. They know how it works. You know what I mean? So this is like easier. But of course, there are other hotels next to skiing resorts, especially, for example, if it comes to the summertime here. We're still at the skiing resorts, but of course, in summertime there is no skiing. Of course not. What is getting more and more popular in Austria is bicycle riding. That's downhill riding and trail riding, and also just hiking basically. And so therefore, also in summertime, we are looking for people to work in Austria. But other than that, we also have what is maybe not that famous in Austria, but we get very nice wine areas with beautiful hotels and a very nice landscape. So there is also always a shortage in the tourism industry. So there's always we are always in need for labor force for seasonal work, basically. Yeah.
Okay. And you already touched this issue about the German language, and that it's very important to find successfully a job in Austria. What level of German would you recommend for someone who wants to work in Austria?
Well, it depends a little bit, but we talked about the industry first. For example, the steel industry. If you if you want to work there, you should be able to understand the safety regulations. You should be able to understand the work instructions that you're basically receiving from your superior. It's pretty tough to say. I mean, it could be A2 if you're good, or P1, like this. So should be enough, I think. Yeah. The most important thing is your grammar or something like doesn't really matter, but just you need to be able to understand what you're being told, and you need to be able to talk to people and express what you want to say, basically. If you know how it works in German, then it's good enough. It doesn't need to be perfect.
And besides German, for example, are there some sectors where also English is enough to find a job and start employment?
I mean, there are English-speaking companies, of course. So German is not always necessary, you have to admit, but most of the companies are not English-speaking. And in addition to that, if you really live here and you spend your private life here, it would make sense to speak German. But that's basically, I mean, if you find an English-speaking company, there are some, as I said, so then still it would make it easier if you speak German for your private life. If you see the doctor's place, or if you need to see the pharmacists or something like this, or it helps to make friends, especially Austrians. Austrians very often do not speak English that well, or not really comfortable with speaking English. Not all of them, but some of them, of course. So it's easier if you speak some German. And especially the IT sector, there's not really a German. Yeah, some of them require German, yeah, but not all of them, basically. So if you are from the IT sector, it always makes sense to have a look on Austria if you want to go abroad from Latvia. And as I said before, in the tourism industry, for example, as a chef, you don't have to speak German, because the kitchens, basically, the working language is English, basically all over the places.
Then generally we can say that if someone plan to go to Austria for a long term, then German is very necessary and useful also to integrate them in society and communities.
Yeah, definitely. Also, if it comes down to authorities or something like this, then some people speak English, of course, but not everybody. It's just what I'm trying to say is it's way easier for you to speak German.
So we have some overview of labor market, and let's move on to the practical side, finding a job. What are the most effective ways to search for a job in Austria, and which job portals or platforms would you recommend to job seekers?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend the job portal of the Public Employment Service of Austria. It is called jobs.ams.ad. You can see the link in the comments afterwards. It is specifically, it's not only good because it's from the best. So there is, of course, a lot of job offers that are basically submitted by companies directly to the Public Employment Service. But the portal is acting like a crawler, basically. So the portal goes to other web pages and it's getting those job vacancies from other portals, as I said, into our portal. It means basically we are covering between 90 and 95% of all the jobs available in Austria that are basically published. Of course, there would be more jobs, but some jobs are just not published. But from the published ones, we basically are covering 90 to 95%. Yes.
And professional network platforms are also widely used today. How useful, for instance, is LinkedIn for job search in Austria?
Also makes sense, of course. Basically everybody is registered at LinkedIn at the moment, so at least it would make sense, you know, for example, if you found basically a company that interests you, yeah, you find somebody who is working there via LinkedIn, and then you can contact this person. I think there is many people who are really eager to talk to other people, and then many companies still trying to recruit. So there's a lot of recruiters on LinkedIn, of course. And so if you find a recruiter, I'm sure you're getting those answers that you're looking for. So social media is getting more and more important when it comes down to recruiting at the moment in Austria. Yes, definitely.
And besides LinkedIn, which is a professional network, do Austrian employers also use, for instance, Facebook for recruitment?
Some do, definitely. Some do, but most of them are using professional networks. So yeah, I would say some of them, but not every company is doing that there.
And we can say that LinkedIn is more popular, and also there is this good thing that you can join this professional communities and then ask detailed information about job and also employers and companies in Austria, for instance.
Yes, definitely worth. And of course, you can always contact us, serious advisors. You can send us an email with your CV, for example, and we can have a look and maybe we can help. Yeah. Because what we also do in Austria is, as serious advisors, we're in touch with a lot of companies. We are contacting companies ourselves, and also in case the candidate wants it, we forward the CVs directly to the companies. So that's a service that not every country is basically offering. I think that's a little bit unique here in Austria.
Continuing regarding job search, CV and application process is important. And what is application process in Austria, and what is the standard CV format in Austria?
Well, standard CV format is PDF. You shouldn't really send it in a Word format or something like this. In Austria, it's also pretty common that you're actually using a picture of yourself, and it should be a professional picture of yourself. It's not like when you're like lying on the beach or something like this. It should be really like a proper business picture. It depends a little bit on the position, but of course I would say 2 pages is more than enough. And you start with what you've done last. So, for example, if you worked as a waiter for the last 5 years, that's basically the first thing that is written down in your CV. So that's an important thing. Of course, contact details. Otherwise, nobody is able to contact you. And yes, that's the most important things.
And I know that also technology plays a role in recruitment. Are automated screening system used by Austrian employers?
Yes, there are, but I would say only in small and medium enterprises don't really use it, but you know, the bigger ones, they do. Yes, it's there. And one thing I forgot, also important when it comes to your CV, you should always indicate from when to when you worked, in what company, and also the position and your tasks. Basically, what did you have to do? Because sometimes it's really difficult to understand. Okay, you have a position and you have a company, but that's not enough information. So you need some task that you had to do. Also it makes it easier for the companies to decide and to get the picture from you, basically.
Does that mean not mention only profession or skills, but also some tasks to give more information to employer to decide that this candidate is perfect for this company?
Yes, exactly. A perfect CV, in my opinion, also includes why you basically changed or why you left one company and moved to another one. It could be, because you got a better offer or whatever. I mean, maybe there are better reasons for it, but this would be also very good, because these are questions basically that the employers are going to ask when it comes to an interview.
Thank you. And beyond this CV, additional documents are often required. Is a motivation letter usually required when applying for a job in Austria?
That's a very good question, actually, because that's what we're always doing, those HR summits, and we are inviting HR managers from our city. I'm living in Graz, in the southern part of Austria, and basically we're talking to them and asking them for HR trends and stuff like this. And well, that was the topic, because we said, nowadays, is it really necessary to send those application letters, those motivational letters, because all of them are done by AI? So, I mean, it's I don't know. If because the recruiters and the HR managers, they know, at the moment they can tell if it's written by yourself or if it's done by AI. But if you do it, then it should be done by yourself. It shouldn't be AI. They realize it. So yeah, I would say, if you think it's really necessary, if you think your CV is not enough for this specific position. For example, if you are changing jobs, or changing industry, if you're like from I don't know, from the steel industry and you want to work as a waiter, then it would make sense to write a motivational letter. But if you stay within the same industry, I'm not sure if it's really necessary anymore. If you do it, it should really be done by yourself. Don't use artificial intelligence. They know, or by now they know. At the beginning they didn't, but now they can tell. And yes, I mean, yeah.
Yes, thank you for suggestion. And regarding references, are they commonly requested by employers?
Yes. Again, it depends a little bit on the position. If you're talking about higher positions, like middle management level or something like this, then it would make sense actually to feature some references. One or two should be enough. Companies will contact them. Yes, they do it definitely.
Then we can say, if you have some good references, it's useful to use in the recruitment and application process.
Okay. Exactly. If you have good references, or if you have references, then it would make sense to insert them on your CV, for example, if there is enough space.
Now, let's imagine that someone find an employer and are moving to Austria. What are the most important administration steps after arrival?
Well, actually, that's quite easy in Austria, because there is not really much to do if you're moving in Austria. Because I mean, if you're from Latvia, of course, because all you have to do is you have to register at the registration office. Means basically you need to tell our authorities, okay, this is this person, and I'm living now here in Austria, and this is my address, basically. That's what you really have to do. Everything else is done by the employer. It means from day one of your contract, you will be health insured, you will be accident insured, you will be unemployment insured, and you will be pension insured. So all those 4 insurances are being done automatically by the employer. They basically deduct the specific amount of money from your salary and deliver it to the correct agencies, basically. Or the same goes for tax. It's done by the employer. On the one side, it's good thing because you don't really have to care much because everything is done automatically and you're safe basically from day one. So there's nothing you need to worry about. So as soon as you are working in Austria and have your contract, basically everything is there for you. On the other hand side, basically, it could be a little bit of a disadvantage because you cannot choose. For example, in other countries you can choose from your health insurance because you say, I don't need a dentist included because my teeth are very fine, I don't need it, so I can save some money and pay a lower tariff, a monthly tariff basically. So this is not possible in Austria, but we are having like a very a system of solidarity. So also when it comes to tax, so our tax system is progressive, which means the people basically who earn less pay less tax, and then it goes like this, of course.
Thank you. And now let's talk about working life and employment contract. What types of employment contracts are common in Austria? It's only written form or also offer other forms? What is the situation in Austria?
Well, actually, the law says that also a verbal contract is possible, but I wouldn't definitely not recommend it. So there is usually you're always getting something on paper, but I would really recommend if somebody comes to Austria to insist on your working contract and also insist that you're getting it before you actually start working here in Austria. But as I said before, it's not mandatory to get it. Like the working contract is not mandatory. There is something called like a Dienstzettel. It's pretty tough to translate for me, but this is something that is necessary. But it only states the number of hours you are working per week and the name and the name of the company and stuff like this. There's very short information. So I would definitely recommend to always insist on a working contract. But at the end of the day, basically every company is doing it anyway because it's good for the employer as well. It's not only good for the employee but also for the employer. So everybody's doing it.
Yes, that's exactly. We also recommend usually when people are going to another country to take working contract written or at least some paper document about employment to be sure that you can prove your working conditions. What are normal working hours in Austria?
Usually we have a 40 hours working week, so it's basically 5 days a week with 8 hours a day, but it could differ a little bit. 40 is the maximum, but some collective agreements basically tell that isn't that company basically only working for 37 hours or 37.5 hours or 38 hours or 38.5 hours. So it's between 37 and 40 hours a week. So it's basically the same, like this.
Yes, and regarding collective agreements, I believe that also salaries are mentioned there because I know that in Austria you don't have a national minimum wage, and of course it's a question every job seeker asks about salary and how salaries are regulated in Austria.
Yeah, as you mentioned correctly already, it's like it's managed in collective agreements. We got a lot of them. It's not easy to know all of them. It's basically impossible. But yeah, you're again right. There's no minimum salary basically. But if you go for those collective agreements, and I don't think you find something under 1,750 gross a month. I don't think so. There won't be anything. No, also, at least I never heard about it. Like this, yeah. So it's not only as you said, it's not only the wages that are regulated. It's many more things actually. It's the working hours, and yeah, basically everything that needs to be regulated is regulated in the collective agreement.
Okay, that means it's important to know this information and ask employer information from collective agreements and then see what the working conditions are in that industry.
That's actually, so sorry it's really important actually, and especially if you come to Austria and want to work in Austria, and you really want to know about your rights and stuff like this, then the best thing is to read through the collective agreement of your company. The collective agreements are accessible for free. So basically all those, I think 200 are basically on the website of the Chamber of Commerce. You can download them and you can have a look and see what's there. And there is another thing that I forgot to mention. I mean, I'm not sure whether we come to this point again, but if you are job hunting in Austria, there is one thing that is really important if it comes to the salary, because as you just mentioned before, the salaries are basically regulated in the collective agreement. But the collective agreement only gives you the minimum. Of course, a company can give you more. Makes sense, yeah?
So if a company is basically publishing a job vacancy, they always give you the absolute minimum amount of money that they have to pay. This is very important to know, because sometimes people ask me, oh, wow, but this is not enough money for me. And I said, well, that's the absolute minimum. There is always an always, but most of the time there is a overpayment possible. It means you have to negotiate. So your salary very often is a question of negotiation. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not only in Austria like this, but specifically in Austria, especially in Austria, it's really like that. And another thing that is really important when it comes down to job hunting, we always, or our companies always give, not always, but like 90% of the time, they give you a monthly amount of money. It's always gross. It's always the absolute minimum amount of money they have to pay. And we in Austria, we're getting this salary not 12 times a year, we're getting it 14 times a year. So there is an extra salary in summertime, so that you basically are able to go on vacation. And there is an extra salary in wintertime, basically for you to buy Christmas. Just, we call it Christmas money and holiday money, basically. That's what I forgot to say earlier on.
Thank you. And living arrangements are another big topic. And what is your recommendations? How and where people should look for accommodation in Austria?
Again, a good question. There is very good internet platforms that I could definitely recommend. For example, I can feature the links afterwards. It's Willhaben or ImmoScout. You might not understand because it's in German, but I will give you the link so you can look there. The price of housing really depends on where you're living. In the hotel industry, for example, it's pretty much common that the accommodation is included in your package. So sometimes they don't give you an overpayment for your salary, but you're getting your accommodation for free, or for like 50 to 150 euros a month, which is really, really good value for money, because all those staff accommodations, or most of them, are really, really nice. It's not like that. It's not like you might remember like 20 or 30 years ago when, there is like staff accommodation wasn't the best, but nowadays this really changed. I've seen a lot of different hotels in their staff accommodation. It's really beautiful. Sometimes you have your room on your own, sometimes you have to share it, but you always have your private bathroom, your private kitchen, and it's definitely a good value for money if you pay like 100 euros a month for that. In my city, for example, if you would like to move to Graz in the southern part of Austria, let's say a 60 square meter flat not in the best area of the city, so not in the most expensive area of the city, but in a proper, safe area, I would say it's between 650 and 700 euros, but including water and sort of facilities. Also, power might be included. If you have like 700, also power would be included per month.
And continue and speaking of costs, could you share some examples of prices for some grocery or services?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I'm pretty sure, you know, we always make this comparison with the Big Macs. A Big Mac in Austria is like €5.80, like €6. So I think you can, yeah, it used to be cheaper. I have to admit, everything got a little bit more expensive the last couple of years. Or if you want to go to the cinema, it's like maybe 12 to 13 euros per movie, per person for the adult.
Thank you for this also practical information.
Or for example, if you want to go to a restaurant, not the cheapest one, but let's say an average restaurant, you know, you pay for a main course like 15 to 20 euros, depends of course, and for a pint of beer, it's like 5 euros.
And to finish our talk, I would like to ask, would you sum up life and work in Austria? Why people enjoy the most of about life in Austria?
Yeah, I think life in Austria is beautiful. It doesn't really matter where in Austria you are, but we're always surrounded by beautiful nature. It's very safe. We have a fantastic social network. What do I mean by that? I mean, if in case you're getting sick or something like this, there is always a hospital nearby. There is always a doctor's place nearby. And also, we're a very social country. So, for example, in case you lose your job, our unemployment service really works good. So, our public employment service is really doing a good job, and you can get along with unemployment benefits. So, it's basically a mixture of all those things. And in addition to that, we get a huge history in culture, of course. So people are enjoying those things in the free time. And as you definitely know, Austria is basically located in the center of Europe. So it's neither west nor east nor north nor south. It's center. So from Austria, you can get to a lot of countries in a very short time. For example, in my city, in Graz, where I'm living, in 2 hours, I'm not only in Vienna, in our capital, but also in Zagreb, capital of Croatia. I mean, in 45 minutes, I reach Maribor in Slovenia. In 3 hours, I reach Budapest. I reach Trieste in Italy. In 2.5 hours, I'm reaching Bratislava in Slovakia. In 3 hours or 4 hours, I reach Prague. So there's so many things that you basically can reach by just driving your car. And also, there's many more that you can reach with a short flight. To be honest. Yeah, I think that's the most important things. But one thing I would like to stress extra. It's a term that is some people don't like it anymore because it's been overused. But it's the work-life balance. Many people say work-life balance in Austria is fantastic, because you don't have to work that much. As I said before, it's 40 hours a week, so you have enough time for your free time, for your activities. It doesn't really matter what you would like, what you like to do. There's basically an offer for everything here in Austria. And also the seasons are, of course, different, with winter time and summertime. So maybe also this one is something that many people really like, because every season features its own things that are really, really, really worth doing. In wintertime, you go to ski. In summertime, you go hiking, or you go on the lake or whatever. So there's lots of things to do, lots of things to see. Yeah, work-life balance is, I'm sure, pretty good here in Austria.
Thank you, Martin, for sharing your experience and tips about living and working in Austria. It was great talking to you. Paldies arī mūsu skatītājiem par dalību mūsu raidījumā. Un, ja jums rodās papildus jautājumi par darba meklēšanu un dzīvošanas nosacījumiem Eiropas valstīs, tāpat arī par starpvalstu sociālā nodrošināšanas un nodokļu jautājumiem, tad aicinu sazināties ar mūsu Nodarbinātības valsts aģentūras EURES konsultantiem. Vēlreiz paldies par dalību un uz tikšanos nākošajos raidījumos. Visu labu!